there's a lot of things you can pound about John Schriffen, and some people have been pounding a lot of things. I don't have a problem with the emotion and the fun and most of the homerism that he's having. I think homers are very, very common in baseball, and often it goes very well for homers, and that's fine. I kind of like Southside stand-up. It's a thing. It's unique. People do stand up when a team wins. Everybody stands up and digs it. It's a catchphrase. I don't hate it. The haters thing was bad, was a bad thought. And then the turning down of interviews and stuff is a weird strategy. Jeff Agrest wrote about that in Sun-Times today, right?
Yeah, just published. The media critic for the Sun-Times. Yeah, he apparently turned down us, Agrest, The Athletic, and the radio station Up the Dial, which is, of course, the flagship.
But I want to be clear what's bothering me and then what broke me yesterday. He doesn't know baseball, and it's a pattern. You don't have to send Maldonado. That's why Tanny played that with Steve Stone's no. I was told that in spring training he called a fly ball that moved a runner from second to third a sacrifice fly. That's not a sacrifice fly. Sacrifice fly is when the run's scored. The other night he called Matt Quatraro, the manager of the Royals, called him the head coach. That's not what a manager's title is. Like stuff like that can drive me crazy and drive a lot of people crazy. Baseball's a game of situations. There are a lot of times where he's talking about situations where he doesn't really have a feel for what the situation is. Then there was this from the home opener where he asked Steve Stone why one player was getting booed more than any other Tiger.
Javi Baez pulls that one foul for the first pitch. He got the most boos on the Tigers introduction, and now he's up at the dish. The boos are raining down again here at Guaranteed Rate Field. Okay, as the new guy, fill me in. What's it all about?
They just remember his days with the Cubs.
8 years with the Cubs, dude. He was with the Cubs for 8 years, and Javi Baez is flashy and fun and antagonistic, and when he's good, he's great, and his team loves him, and other teams hate him. I mean, earlier in that game, he threw the ball, instead of over the net to the fans, he threw it right at the net, like threw a line drive at it just to kind of keep baiting the fans because they boo him every time he comes in because he was a Cub for 8 years. How do you not know that, you know?
I mean, I would think that would come up in your prep for the Tigers that Javi Baez was a Cub for 8 years.
Oh, my God. Give a crap and do some research once you get the job. And then this was the one. Yesterday, the great Bill Veeck, one of the 4, maybe 5 most important non-players in the history of Chicago baseball. Bill Veeck came up on the broadcast.
On this date in 1960, Al Smith connects on a home run, setting off Bill Veeck's new exploding scoreboard for the very first time.
If you don't know that Bill Veeck's name is said Bill Veeck, then that means you not only came into this with some ignorance, and that can be forgiven on some level, you've had 3 months to do some freaking research, man. Google Bill Veeck. The significance of that man. The title of the autobiography, Danny, is Veeck as in wreck.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that probably should have come
up. That should tip you off.
That should come up.
The Saint of Second Chances with Mike Veeck is an incredible documentary. It's sitting right for you there on Netflix with tons of White Sox history and stuff in it. There's a million things. Do you not know why the scoreboard that is at your own ballpark is an homage to his original exploding scoreboard? Have you not looked down and done that? That freaking offends my baseball sensibilities and lots of others. I heard from lots of people last night about this, and that's what broke me. Because, he owned the team you work for twice, 2 different times. His father ran the Cubs in the 20s, and that's when Bill Veeck, as a young man, planted the freaking the ivy at Wrigley. He spent his dotage in the Wrigley bleachers. This stuff is scripture for the history of Chicago baseball. And the guy doing the games doesn't know it. And it really freaking offends me when you don't bother to do the research to learn about the job that you have.
Setting off Bill Veeck's new exploding scoreboard.
Can I give you a confession?
Oh, no.
Can I give you a confession, Danny?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah, we're being honest here. Yeah.
When I took the job with Dan McNeil in 2009, right here at the Score,
yeah,
and it was about a month before we were going to start, I knew that I had knowledge gaps.
Of course, everybody does.
I borrowed from a friend of mine the DVD of the entire 1985 Bears season, and I watched every game. And I was able then to talk about it and help with Mac, who loves that season, for everybody who loves that season. And when we would have Keith Van Horn on or Jay Hilgenberg on or whatever, or Jim McMahon on, we could talk about the different games, and I would know what the hell I was talking about. Give a crap when you get a job like this. It's such a good job.
Yeah, listen, I don't think that's like a confession as in something to be embarrassed about or ashamed. It's prep.
It's prep.
It's prep. That is a thing that you should do and know, and that job is a very high-profile, front-facing one, and you do work for a team. So if he doesn't know that Javi Baez was a Cub, I think that's crazy, obviously, because he was a pretty prominent Cub, finished second in MVP. You would think it would come up in the research for the series with the Tigers.
Yeah.
But he's got to know White Sox history. You know what I mean? Like that part there, and then like the tag up from second to third. I get what you're saying. To me, those are more like misdemeanor offenses.
And that's why I haven't gone off when things like that have happened.
I understand.
That's why I'm showing the pattern when I bring those things up.
I understand. Of course. But that one last night, for the job that he has, that's just weird. Like that does seem to show like a lack of like care for the detail, because now like people have compared him to Gus Johnson a little bit. And one of the things that I don't like about Gus Johnson is that I think it is way more style than substance. And that if it's a double overtime game, it can be great. Every play is exciting. But if it's a 24-point game or a 25-point game or whatever the case, it's a blowout, I need to hear you have the prep and the knowledge and know the rules and the teams and the research and be able to, like, entertain me.
Yeah.
And that's the work of the job. Every game isn't going to have a great walk-off call. So if he is all energy and homerism, that will only take him so far. Like you got to have – I mean, I agree. There's 162 of them, and he's apparently going to do like 162 of them. You know what I mean? So, like, he's going to – it's a marathon, man. So you have to – fill the work in with substance.
And he will learn more context. He will learn more baseball. I think that his broadcasts have gotten better over the course of a month. I watched a bunch of that game on Saturday night, and it was good. And I thought the walk-off call was good. I thought haters kind of ruined it. And made it about him and like kind of picked a fight and made it a story all of a sudden. And maybe, I don't know if that's by design or not, but like just know the game as best you can. And not knowing who Bill Veeck was would have been a big red flag for me in the interview process.
Yeah, I mean,
but here you are. Now you got the job. Respect the fans. Respect the fans who are watching the game and want to feel like you are their partner watching the game. And I guarantee you that the great majority of them knew why Javi Baez was being booed.
Yes.
And the great majority of them know that Bill Veeck owned the White Sox twice and invented the exploding scoreboard, as well as most of modern baseball promotion.